Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Junior Developer Happy Hour, React 30 night. We've been doing the JavaScript 30 exercises. For those not familiar, go to javascript30.com. It's a bunch of vanilla JS exercises, but we've been doing it in React just to like flip it a little bit. So we've been doing it almost every Sunday. Last week we skipped though, because I realized it was July 4th. So I was like, let's skip this Sunday. So this week we're gonna do this tally string timed with reduce, so fundamentals again, but I'll change it around a little bit so that we can actually render stuff and do some React stuff. It's more just review stuff that we've been doing over and over again. So we use code sandbox. So you can just create a new React one. Oh, before I get to that, I noticed on code sandbox, they redid the layout. I don't know if people saw, but now they have this like discover tab. So it's pretty cool. So you can like, it's easier now to just like browse and get inspiration or like figure out how to do stuff by just looking at how other people did stuff. So I just noticed that. So just want to share that. So we're gonna do React, and then let me share the live link for people who want to maybe code some parts of the exercise. That's the live link there. And I'll copy some of the code. Oh no, I got a beach ball. What happened? Hopefully it doesn't beach ball and crash my browser. So see how it's like all these LIs this week? Let's copy it over, but we're gonna change this a little bit. Like we just need these strings to work with the strings. And then with React, we can just loop to like render these like LIs. So maybe we can get somebody else to do that part. But let's see.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's get rid of this CSS. We don't need it. There's no fancy CSS this week. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna modify this code to put all these strings in an array, and then we'll see if anybody wants to volunteer to actually render it. So it renders like, I want it to render like this, where it says video 1, but also the timestamp. So first, let me get the strings into the array. But before I get started, does anybody have any questions about anything like stuff we did weeks ago, or questions about what we're gonna do if you're confused by my intro, just to make sure everybody's cool? No questions? Okay, if you do have questions that pop up, just you can just shout out your question or just post it in the chat. Up to you. So let's see. I think we can do, let's see, Command Shift L. Booyah! Look at that. So let's get rid of all that. Get rid of all that.
Command Shift L.
How am I gonna do this part? Okay. I think I got it. Command Shift L does selects all. It will look for everything that has the same.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, this is gonna mess it up a little bit, but let's just fix it. Oh shit, no, I'm not gonna be able to do that. So let's just go
You put a
like
space?
that.
Will it let you? No? Oh, there you go.
There. I think I got it. I need the commas though. So let's see. I want to put them all up here. Time stamps maybe. And then let's see. Shoots. How can I do that part? I can just type in the comments. I'm too lazy to figure it out right now. It's not just comma. Yeah. Instead of messing around figuring out how to do it, I'll just type it all out. Not too bad. So yeah. Okay. Looks like that's it. Let's put it in a different file though. I thought it would format it better. Let's put this. Now let's just leave it there. So we got all these timestamps. Now we want to render it as a list. You know how it was just saying video 1, 2, 3, but I want to render it so that each bullet point says video 1 and the timestamp. Does anybody want to volunteer to do that part? Like just render it in here. Otherwise I can just do it if nobody wants to.
If no one else wants to, I can try.
Okay, let me enable you. Okay, you should be able to type now.
Am I okay? Let's see. Okay, so we've got, what did you call the array? Timestamp.
Timestamps.
Okay, so all right, do you want them to be numbered or not numbered? So we've got this unordered list.
Yeah, just put numbers and make it like how it was, you know how it said video 1. So make it like video 1 and the timestamp, video 2 and then the timestamp.
But the list itself, do you want it ordered? Like, let's see, if we return.
Oh, you could do it like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Then you want it to say video 1, video 2 also.
Up to you, it doesn't matter. Just get the timestamps there. If you're gonna do an ordered list, you can just put the timestamps there.
Well, let's see. So we've got map over this. I need a
curly brackets
expression. Like so, and then let's just, whoops. So we got a string. Let's maybe call it times str for string. Does that make sense? And then we want to split it up. Oh, actually, hold on. I'm mixing up different things. Let's see.
You don't need to split it up. We're gonna do that later. I just want you to render the strings in the list.
Oh, got it. Okay.
We're gonna go in steps. So this is the first step, just rendering
so
all
just
the strings.
render each one of these strings.
Yeah, you can just put it in
So
the
each
LI.
one of these is going to be a list item, right? And React is going to complain if we don't put a key on there. What should we do for the key?
You can just use the index. We're not gonna be sorting or anything.
So that'll be
it's just a static list. That's why.
Okay, so we can that would be the second argument of the function, right? The index and the.
Yeah, it should be fine because we're not. It's just a static list. They'll use the index for the key.
Index, yeah. Okay, and then this is gonna say video. And then, actually we could put index here, maybe index +1. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1, starts at 1 instead of 0.
Yep.
Let's see. So we've got each one, we got a list item, and then it's going to say video. And actually, let's pull this down here. Oh, I haven't closed that. Oh, I
It
did.
uses prettier, so it'll auto format, so you don't need to worry about the formatting.
Okay, okay. Video, and then we want the actual time, which is just a time string.
You'll have to put it in the curly braces though. Yeah.
Okay. And then
you can get rid of the these curly braces since it's just short, so you can have it automatically.
Oh, right, right. It's just going to return that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Should I put parentheses around that because it's multi-line?
If you just save it, it'll just auto format. You don't need to worry about any.
Oh,
whenever
got it.
you use, whenever you use prettier, you just type. You don't have to worry about like
okay, I'm not used to
ring.
using prettier.
You don't have to like worry about adding spaces or tabs or returns or
Okay.
parentheses or curly brackets or anything. Prettier, just you just hit save and it just
Okay.
it in the optimal way. So let's
By the
actually
way,
make
if
it
anyone has any suggestions, please just call out because so all right, so what do we got here? We've got,
let's make it an unordered list. So
yeah, okay.
just because there's too much numbers on the screen
Yeah,
after
yeah,
looking at it. Yeah, it looks a little better. So
okay.
something.
Oh, we need some space to separate the video number and the time.
Wait. Oh. Just here, you can just put, let's just do this. I was like, why does the numbers look wrong?
Yeah.
That's good enough. Yeah, somebody mentioned in the chat about index. Yeah, it doesn't matter here though, because we're not, this is a static list, we're just sorting. So it doesn't matter. You can use the index in a case like this. If you're gonna have like a button that can like sort the list or something, then you might run into some issues, but that's not the case here. So yeah, if you choose not to assign an explicit key, I didn't know it defaults. It will still annoy you with warnings though. So we want to get rid of the warnings. So we can get rid of this one here.
Oh yeah, class name.
So let's
I
just
just
make
opened
sure.
up my console, so.
Okay, so the next part of the exercise, before we go on to the next part, we're gonna calculate the total number of seconds. So let me just explain how I want to go about doing this, because this is a little bit different from what Boss did. West Boss ends up just calculating the total time, like hours, minutes, seconds of all the videos, and then he just console logs it for the people that watch the video. But that's boring, right? We don't want to just console log it. We want to we can just display at the top like total, or we can just display the total.
Yeah, you want it
time.
in the page.
The hours, minutes, seconds, we can just display it on the top. And since this is all static data, we can calculate everything in functions outside of the component. That way that component just renders static data, but like we made functions to automatically compile all the data, which is kind of common. You do that in apps all the time. Like you might have just static data. You don't want to add this up with a calculator, right? You want to use your coding skills to, like maybe a real common example is you get this data in a CSV file, or it's in a Google Sheet or something like that. And then somebody who doesn't know how to code says, here's all the timestamps. You got to figure out how to transform it in a quick way because you got lots of stuff to do, right? So this is kind of just a practice like data manipulation, preparing data, and then rendering it. So this is just one example where you get a bunch of static data and then how you can manipulate it. So any questions or comments besides the keys index stuff, or before we go on to the next step? The next step is we're gonna calculate the total number of seconds given all these strings. So we'll just make a function that takes all these strings and then converts it to seconds. So if people watch the video, Westboss maps over each element, splits it on the colon to get the minutes and the seconds, and then uses map to map all the values, and then uses reduce to, all we're doing using reduce for is to calculate the sum of all the seconds, which is one of the only, I don't use reduce a lot either, but sum is a use case where I would use it. I prefer not to use reduce if I don't have to, just because it's harder to read than just doing like map and filters and stuff like that. Any questions before we go on to the next part? Comments? No. Okay. Does anybody else want to volunteer to do the next part of converting this array of timestamps into seconds?
I'd like to volunteer.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Let me see. You're ST Gibson in Code Sandbox? Is that you? Let me see. I think that's you. I just enabled you, I think. Try to see if you can type. Just type, yeah. Type here. Just make a function like convert to seconds or something. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, it usually takes me a little while to think of a good name for a function. So convert to seconds is fine. Okay. So do you have timestamps?
Yeah, it'll take in the timestamps as a
oh yes, that makes sense. So
as a param.
as a parameter. Okay. So I want to do timestamps dot. So I want to map over it to split each one into.
So you can do multiple maps. Like it's up to you, but my personal preference usually it's more. If you watch like how functional programmers do things, a lot of their like it's just like one line. They just keep it simple.
Right.
Map, you do one thing, and then if you have to, you do another map instead of doing everything inside of one map. It's a little more readable. Like you transformed it by doing this one thing, and then you go through and you transform it by doing another thing. You transform it, and then you do another thing. In my opinion, it's a little more readable, and you split it up into just one thing.
Okay.
Because you can make it more composable too. That's why, because if you name the functions and pull them out, then it becomes super readable. We don't need to go that far though.
Right. Okay. So if I'm mapping over timestamps, then for each timestamp, I'm going to do a split with colon, and that's going to get like a that's going to return an array of the minutes and seconds. And when you're saying like doing like two maps, are you saying like do a map on the array that this creates?
Yeah. So
okay.
let's stop here actually. So
Okay.
let's just do it in steps. I like to do sanity checks. That's why. So let's try
Okay.
just use this function and render it. Like let's
Okay.
just to make this a little shorter. Okay. So now if in here, if we just let's just console log it. Let's see. Since it's going to be like a big list, it's not ready to. Well, if I can do this. Okay, in here, let's just do console.log, and then let's do convert to, oh, let's call it seconds, convert to seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Timestamps. So let's see
Okay.
what it looks like.
So right now it's an array of arrays.
Yep. So the second thing is seconds already. So
right.
Now, if you want to do another map now, in the next map will be, or maybe Prettier will probably reformat it, but let's see what it says. I'll just get you started with the.
Okay.
I'm just gonna make it empty just to get. Oh, I was hoping Prettier didn't. But
okay. Okay. So map is going to for each one, it's going to be yeah, well, I guess minutes and seconds, but it's going to be like two numbers. Okay, so let's see. I want to count the seconds. So like the second number will be just adding the number, but then with the first number, it will be.
I got an idea how we can do. Okay. We can do multiple things when it's like short. So I got an idea. We can convert the first number to seconds and just add it to the second number, and then that's all we'll do in this map. And then each item will just be seconds. So we're gonna transform it from each item right now is an array of 2 strings, right? Right. After this map, it will just be a number, which will be the seconds. And then we just have one more step to add up all the numbers. Does that make sense?
So map.
So like,
well, here, let me. It needs to be an array that it returns, right?
So no, because each item we're gonna. When you do a map, you're transforming one thing into another thing. So right now, each thing is an array of 2 strings.
2 strings.
Okay.
In this step, I think we can convert this number to seconds.
Right.
And then add it to this. So you got to convert this to a number divided by 60 to get the total number of seconds. And then, right, these are all minutes, and they're all minutes and seconds only.
Right.
So, and then we add them together, and at the end of this map, it will be an array of numbers, which is how many seconds each video is.
Okay, so for this specific map, I'm just converting the minutes into seconds.
Let's do 2 steps. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know I said do one thing, but like this is like we're just gonna manipulate both things in the array, add them together, and that's what we're gonna do in this map.
Okay. Let me see. So I need to like determine which number this is, whether this is the minutes or the seconds, right? To determine what I want to do.
So you can destructure it. So here, let me type right here real quick. So you can go like this, and we can do minutes, seconds, something like that.
Oh, okay.
So now you've got the first and the second string as M and S.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then I'm just going to return. So it would be like M times 60. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah, times. I said divide. But you got to convert it to a number. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Just use plus.
What do you say?
Actually, don't use plus. use a number.
Number dot. Oh, just number to convert it to.
Just in my experience, like working on Teams, it's a lot more clear if you use numbers like a shortcut for like. But then, in my opinion, it makes the code harder to read. And then, like, if you get new people who are like backend developers that work on the code, they're not familiar with all the shortcuts, and it's much easier to grok what it's doing if you use like the number, like if you use this method to convert it to a number. So yeah.
Okay.
I've had, when I was a noob, my CTO was like, he like drilled me on the pull request because I had all these like plus things to like do the conversion to the number.
I always use plus or minus.
Yeah, but like in general, most teams on my I've been on, we don't use that in the code base, the shortcut to convert to a number. Okay, so does that look right? 343. So 43. Yeah, that looked right to me.
Yeah, 5 minutes and 43 seconds.
So
yeah, looks good.
Let's roll with that. So now we mapped and then we mapped. And then one more step is to sum up all the numbers. So this is the part where reduce comes into play.
Okay. So just on the end of all the other maps.
Yep.
And then do a
reduce. So there's the accumulator. If you can think of a better name.
Is that common, Sam, to use ACK for the accumulator argument?
You can use whatever. I think
I can use some, honestly, if it's gonna end up being some, right?
Well, I like ACK, but I'm just asking if JavaScript programmers, I don't have a lot of experience with JavaScript, so I don't know if
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't
just
use
variable,
ACK, but
that's all it is.
But I'm just doing it now because I don't want to spend too much time on that.
No, I think ACK is good.
You don't need the curly braces again. Like,
okay,
less
just do it a little bit.
on this, less characters on the screen makes it more readable.
Okay. So if I'm accumulating with ACK, it's going to be like the sum, then I'm going to be returning that plus the next value, and I want ACK. Well, I think if I don't give ACK a default value, then it will
still work, but let's just put in a 0. I think
anyways.
it's good.
Okay, that's fine.
Just in case
like
it's empty. Right.
Like we know it's not empty,
Okay.
but just for like good practice, I like to
Sure.
I always default it when I'm summing it up to 0.
Okay.
Just because I've run into bugs before where there was no default value. I like to always put a default in the reduce.
Yeah, that
so
we
have the total number of seconds now. Let's see. So this is the total number of seconds. I don't know if that's true. In a real production app, you would write a unit test, like throw in different numbers to make sure you could like randomize the numbers even, and just make sure that the unit test always calculated the sum. But it looks right to me. And another thing you could do too, instead of reduce, like for some, reduce is pretty easy, but like if you like I've said in the past weeks, if you already have Lodash in your in your app, Lodash has a sum function, and that's easier to read, right? You just pass this thing an array of things, and it just sums it up. So sometimes if I'm just using Lodash instead of reduce, I'll just use the Lodash sum. So we got the convert to seconds. So now we need to convert it to a human readable format, which is HH colon minute colon seconds. And I already brought up a Stack Overflow thing just to see an easy way to do it. So we can just copy that over. Actually, I like this. This answer is awesome because it even takes into consideration, like, you don't have to figure out when to pad it with a 0. He did it in a clever, whoever did this, this person, or Thorben, did it in a clever way where it makes sure that it's only 2 numbers. So it pads it with a 0 when necessary and when it's not 0. So we can do like a good developer and copy pasta from Stack Overflow. It's easy enough to understand. We'll modify it a little bit too. So, but I like this, the way this person did it. So now we have another function here, just converting. So we broke it up into steps, right? Just to reiterate before we go on. Oh, I missed the question. Parts int would work too. I find number more readable as well. Parse int would work though. I don't know if there's a difference between number and parse int for what we're doing. I don't think it would make a difference. But yeah, parse int converts the strings to integers. So just to recap what we did, whenever I'm thinking about a problem, I always figure out all the steps, how I can break it down into each step. So that's what I did with this too. I was like, okay, I'm trying to think of the real world. In the real world, like, you would see a list of all the videos and how long each video is. Maybe these would be links to like download the videos as well, or link to like a YouTube video or something like that. And then we also want to know the total. So the way you break down the total is how we did it. We got a bunch of strings. First, we convert it to seconds, and then we have another function that converts it into a human like readable format. Because if you just put the seconds on the string on the screen, that's not very readable, right? Like, you want it, humans want to read it in like hours, minutes, seconds. That's pretty standard. So that's what this function is. It just takes in, let's call it seconds though. That would be more readable than D. I don't even know what is D. We don't need to convert it because it's already a number. Digit? I don't know.
What about a potential confusion with the variable S? The string number of seconds versus the integer number of seconds that uses.
Oh, I think it's fine because there's not that much code here. Let's see. We actually don't even need all these variables. Oh, here, I know how we can make it. We'll say, let's just leave it HMS. I think it's fine. Like, if this code was a lot of code, then you have to be more careful about the variable naming. But it's like 4 lines of code. Anybody who comes into this, it's like easy enough to understand, I think, at least in my opinion. So I don't think it would be necessary because you don't even need these variables. You could just stick this in straight here, here, here. And this code, in my opinion, is easy enough to understand. Like you don't really need the variables, but since we already got it cost up, copy pasted, let's just leave it. So yeah, if you look into the math, this makes sense. You convert to hours and then you take the remainder divided by 60 and then it comes out correct. So now if we do this, and then now we can just render it at the top. Or you can just do, I don't know, I'm lazy, I'm just gonna put it in H1, I don't know. Let's see. And then we can just do seconds to HMS. And then we'll do convert to sec. Oh, we got all the numbers. We don't need to calculate it in advance. So we can calculate it before we render the function. Total time. I don't know. So that will be convert to seconds, timestamps, seconds to HMS. So now we calculated everything in advance since we have all the data already. And then now we rendered at the top. So it's 4 hours, 58 minutes, and 58 seconds. And that seems about right if you just look at it. But if this was a real app, you probably have like maybe 2 unit tests or something to make sure it's right. But like generally, if you have all the data up front, it's kind of better to just, I think, calculate everything in advance. Then the function doesn't need to, the component doesn't need to do anything. You just give it the data and it just renders it. It doesn't need to do any calculations while the component's rendering. You already did a pre-optimization by calculating everything in advance. So it's just your data preparation. You just prepared all the data, and then what is this? Somebody's difference between number and parse int. Converts the type, whereas parse int parses the input value. Oh, but for our case, it doesn't make a difference, I think, since we just have. Oh yeah, and you can get so parse int can handle more types of input, but for what we're doing, I don't think it makes a difference. For like this example, what we're doing, I think it's the same thing. So yeah, just like everything in JavaScript, there's lots of different ways to do stuff. And just, you can just, a lot of times just use whatever works. Like in this case, either one works. In my opinion, there's no benefit to using one or the other. Is there any other questions or comments? Pretty short one today. No questions or comments? Any questions about anything else then? If that's all for this exercise. Any questions, comments about anything we did in the past or just anything?
Hi, Sam. Thanks for doing this. Great to be here. I'm just wondering, it's my first time here, where I could get access to the other recordings of these exercises done in React. It's really awesome.
Oh, yeah. Okay. First of all, I can give you a link to our Slack if you're not in our Slack. Let's see. So I think this link should work. And There's a React30 channel in that Slack. And also I have a playlist with all the videos. Let me try to dig it up.
Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah. So that's the playlist of all the ones we did so far. We've just been going in order. And then also, if you've never been to our Ask Me Anything meetups, we stopped doing them, at least for now. But we have a bunch of awesome recordings if you want to check them out. Maybe there's people on there that you like. We've had all kinds of people on there. People from Netflix, GitHub, Google, bunch of newer startups, bootcamp graduates, everything. I myself went to a bootcamp too back in 2013. I went to Dev Bootcamp. And I guess I skipped my intro for the new people here. I'm a front-end developer. That's why we're doing front-end stuff. I work at a company called Strike right now. You might have seen us in the news because my CEO co-wrote a bill for El Salvador to make Bitcoin legal tender there. We're a payments app, and we use the Bitcoin network to facilitate. We're going worldwide. So right now, you can make transactions from either people in the US, but you can also make transactions to people using our app in El Salvador. El Salvador is the first country that we rolled out to outside of the US. And you can send them money if they have our app for no fees. So instead of doing like Western Union or something, you just send it and there's no fees. It's not like Western Union or something where they charge you a huge fee. My CEO just wants people to be able to transfer value anywhere in the world, and not have to pay some crazy fee. So the awesome thing is you can make the payments. It's just like Cash App or Venmo, right? But you go strike to strike. You can do it that way. But also our app is compatible with any Bitcoin or Lightning QR code. Lightning is a second layer on top of Bitcoin, which has cheaper transactions. And so you can go to like all these different wallets. You're not stuck. Like Cash App, you can only go Cash App to Cash App. Venmo, you can only go Venmo to Venmo. Ours, you can go Strike to Strike, but also to any Bitcoin wallet there is, and there's a lot of them. So that's where I'm working now, and it's pretty awesome. We're going to Europe next, so you'll be able to go send money to people in Europe. It'll be in dollars in your wallet, and when you send it, it shows up as euros in their wallet. And we use the Bitcoin network to facilitate the transactions, but it's behind the scenes. Like the users don't know that, like they don't need to know that that's how we facilitate the transactions and prevent fraud and all that kind of stuff. And also I used to work at Lyft before I started working at Stripe. I just moved to Tulsa. I'm in a Tulsa remote program. If people are interested in that, it's pretty awesome because they pay you $10,000 just to move to Tulsa. And you get free access to a co-working space. It's like the best deal ever. So I was living in the Bay Area. I was working at the Lyft headquarters, but then I quit and I moved to Tulsa, and now I work at Stripe. But yeah, I've also worked at a bunch of different other companies, but yeah, somebody got their hand raised. David?
What are your like top 10 best altcoin buys? No,
I
I'm
am
kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
I'm Bitcoin only.
I know.
I
That's just a
I,
joke. Sorry.
I went through the whole altcoin phase in the 2017 cycle, so I got that out of my system.
Yeah, I'm the
I,
same. But I guess my question was just like, how does the Strike payment model work if it's free? Like where do you guys make money?
So it's just like any startup, right? Like when you're growing, you want to get the users first. You generate a network effect. Once you have all the users, you can build merchant tools and build. We have a API that there's a lot of interest in, so we're gonna make a public API. There already is an unofficial public API if you know where to look, but there's only a few endpoints and there's no documentation. I think I actually got the job because I started playing around with the API. They have a tipping page. Like if you want to look at like, just look at like my tipping page. And I just went to that tipping page and I was like, inspected the network traffic. And I was like, oh, they have these like public APIs. I can just use this. So I made some stuff in Code Sandbox when I did the 100 days of code challenge for people familiar with the 100 days of code challenge to encourage like junior developers to learn in public, because I think that's the best way. I think that's better than like, applying to jobs. It's a better way to get a job than applying to jobs, in my opinion. It's just learning in public. So part of the 100 days of code, I just was hacking on stuff that I like, and I like Bitcoin. So, and I like Strike. They just launched in like September or October last year. So when they launched, they had this tipping page, and I'm gonna make this button. So I recorded these videos of me playing around with the Strike buttons, and I think they saw it. So when I did apply this year, I think that helped me like even get the interview. And because I had talked to the CTO, he had like saw me post the videos when I posted it, and like he like messaged me, and then he's like, yeah, we're coming out with the public API, but it's not public yet. So I think a lot of companies, they can generate a lot of money just with like the API. If you look like Twilio and like all those companies who are like API driven, a lot of the money comes from the API usage. So there's a lot of things. You build up a whole network effect. If you can, our goal is to go worldwide. So that's potentially billions of users. So if you have billions of users using your app and you make merchant tools, instead of charging the users, you can charge the people who use you can build services that people can subscribe to and stuff like that. So I'm not sure, I'm not in the business side of the company, but I assume that's their plan. But I know for sure our CEO, Jack Mallers, for people in the space might know him because he's been on CNBC and stuff since he co-wrote this legal tender bill. He doesn't want to ever charge the user like fees. He thinks it's like a human right for people to just be able to like transfer value to each other. And you don't need a bank. You just need this app. So any questions? Tutorial for API building. I don't know any specific one off the top of my head, but I do like Egghead.io. There's probably stuff on there for API building. I like Egghead. It is a subscription service, but it's not too bad. I think, I don't know what the current price is because I'm grandfathered because I've been paying for it for years. So I think I pay like 90 or $100 a year for Egghead.
I
But
think
you
it's
can probably,
25 a month now.
oh yeah,
A
so I
little
got
bit
it.
less if you pay by year.
I got a lot cheaper then because I've been paying for it for like 5 years. There's Egghead. Maybe on front end masters. I'm not sure if there's the front end masters is more expensive though. But if we try to look, there might be API, but I don't know if it's any good. Let's see. API design in Node.js. Yeah, apparently I watched some of it. I don't remember if it was good though. So yeah, like the best way is just go try and get a job at a company that is like API driven. And then the best way to learn is just on the job, not from like the tutorials, because then you really run into real problems and you got to figure out how to solve those problems. So you learn a lot more than just by like watching the course or like reading a book or something. And just try and build an API. You don't need to learn the best practice first, because you can learn the best practices yourself by just making something and seeing what the pain points are and trying to make it as easy as possible. So, because everything's always evolving too, and there's trade-offs to everything you build. So like, even though one tutorial might say these are the best practices, it might be just that might not always be true. It's hard to like make a course that's true for all the use cases. So it's kind of good to just try and build stuff. Just make an API of something that something that you like. If there's no API available. Is there any other questions? Stick around for a few more minutes if you have any more questions. Nothing? Okay, we can just call it a night then. And then
Thanks for doing this, Sam. Appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Next week, I gotta check if this webcam one, I'm not sure if we can do that on Code Sandbox. So I'll check it out. If not, then we'll just do this one. So we'll see if it's possible. Just check the meetup page. Okay. I'll see y'all later then.
Yeah. See you soon.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot,
very
Sam.
much.
Thank you,
Right.
Sam.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.